Hello, my name is Samuel Lloyd and I'm with Advisor Training and Development. Today we're going to look at understanding how grades work at FSU. It's critical to ensure that every student knows how their grade point average or GPA works and how it factors into decisions such as being admitted to the major, staying in good academic standing, and even graduating. This video will review the following. We'll review the different types of GPAs and know what grades do not get counted in a student's GPA. We'll then identify what quality points are and how they help calculate a total grade point average. Then we'll use simple calculations to find out what grades a student would need to earn a certain overall GPA. So let's get started. First, let's talk a bit about the different GPAs and their functions. Combined GPA includes all collegiate coursework, which includes transfer credit and dual enrollment. Graduate schools, law schools, med schools, limited access programs, academic honor societies, and degrees of distinction such as cum laude all use combined GPAs in their decisions. The FSU GPA reflects the grade point average of courses taken only at FSU. The FSU GPA will also determine a student's academic standing. The benchmark for being in good academic standing at the university is a 2.0. The transfer GPA reflects the grade average of courses taken prior to enrolling at FSU or any grades earned at a different institution. But not all grades are calculated into a student's GPA. Accelerated credit earned through testing mechanisms such as AP and IB are posted with grades of EC, ED, or even EX, and they do not figure into any GPA calculation. Satisfactory or unsatisfactory or SU, I, or NG grades, or any exemption credit are not figured into a GPA as well. Note, both grades count in a student's GPA if they end up having to retake or repeat a course. FSU does not offer any grade forgiveness policy, and they haven't since 2004. Now let's talk about how grades are calculated. First, know that each letter grade is associated with a numerical equivalent. It's important to note here that how professors might distinguish an A from an A- may differ, but the numerical equivalents are the same for all posted grades. Students are advised to review the syllabus for each course so they can understand how the different grading scales may look. Next, let's look into grade points. If a student receives an A in a 3-credit-hour course, to find the grade points, one has to first take the numerical equivalent. For an A, this is 4 points. Then multiply it by the number of credit hours. In this case, it's 3. That total of 12 will be the total grade points attributed for the course. Doing that for each course will provide a total number of grade points. Then dividing that total by the number of credit hours attempted will then give us the GPA for the semester. An easy way to calculate a term or cumulative GPA can be found at the link listed here. It's also found on the Academic Center for Excellence's website under Student Resources. Looking into this calculator a bit more, you can list the courses, credit hours, projected grades, and indicate whether they're graded as SU or not. At the fields along the top of the page, you can leave these blank for students that do not have any units or credit hours earned. I put together a sample student here and put in some grades to see how these grade points and the number of credit hours attempted are calculated into their GPA with this calculator. Grades that are an F, IE, or NG are considered as failed and are not counted as hours earned. They are only counted as hours attempted. Just a few notes on grades. Depending on the major, you might have a certain GPA act as a benchmark. For instance, staying in good academic standing at the university requires a 2.0, but being admitted into a major might require a 3.0. You might also have merit-based scholarships, which may have certain GPA requirements for a student to stay in compliance and have their scholarship renewed for the following semester. Additionally, recognition in the form of being placed on the Dean's List or President's List, or graduating with distinction all have certain GPA requirements as well. Let's take a minute here to look briefly at the retention table. This table takes into consideration the number of semester hours the student has attempted, which includes transfer credits, and indicates the GPA range that will place the student on academic warning or academic probation. Per university policy, students who fail to resolve their probationary status will be dismissed at the end of the next semester for which they are enrolled. Using the previous example, we used the GPA calculator and figured that the student earned a 2.308 GPA based on 13 credits attempted in that term. For the student's following semester, we can now put the previous semester totals in these top boxes. The student can now enter the projected grades for their courses to figure out what their overall GPA could be. Another way to calculate GPA is to break down the totals in a table and do some simple calculations. I set one up here to help us figure out what term GPA the student would need to get to the 3.0 cumulative GPA. If we divided 13 hours into 30 grade points to get the fall 2017 GPA as a 2.308, we now have enough information to see how the student could earn a 3.0. First, we would take the 3.0, the GPA needed, multiplied by 28, which is the total hours, and we would get 84, which are the total grade points needed. Next, from that 84, subtract 30 grade points for the fall 2017 semester, and that'll show us that we need 54 points from the spring. Last, take the 54 grade points and divide it by 15 spring hours, and then we can see that the student needs a 3.6 GPA in the spring to get to a cumulative 3.0 GPA. Last, I want to wrap up with some additional considerations. Depending on the situation, such as a particular course, the time and semester, or the student classification, other methods may end up helping the student reach their target GPA, or it could favorably affect how the GPA is calculated. First and foremost, if possible, the student can look into addressing the lowest grades. They can do this by talking to the professor during office hours, using the Academic Center for Excellence study resources. They could discuss their note-taking strategies, time management, etc. Next, they could possibly drop a course before the 7-week deadline or before the 12-week deadline and receive a W. Last, if they could change the course to a pass-fail or the SU option, but they could only do that if it's before the 7-week deadline. For these last three options, these would impact the number of credit hours earned, which would affect the calculation. Make sure to review the undergraduate bulletin for more information on these processes. That concludes this video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.